My father had come over when he was 18 years old from England. And he met my mother and he married my mother, who her family had been in this country for many, many years. I don't even know what the background is for them, but he was pure English. And, uh, and he was a wonderful, wonderful person. He was such a Christian. I mean, oh, a very strict Christian. I mean, very wonderful, but very kind, very loving. I had three sisters and one brother. One sister was older than me by 18 months. Esther was third, and she has deceased as of. And then there were a few years before Arvilla and the only boy, which was also Arthur. That was his name, Arthur. This brings back memories. We also wanted to sit. We always wanted to sit on Papa's lap in the evening. Sometimes we three girls would fuss about who would have the privilege because he had only two knees. Okay. One day he made a third leg out of wood and put a matching pant leg on it. My mother helped him get seated before we came in. Then we each had a knee to sit on, but we cried because we didn't really want him to look so strange. One thing about the Depression, my folks never complained. In other words, why didn't the government do this or that?
Oh, yeah. Blame it on the government.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they never did. They just always trusted the Lord. If I would get up early in the morning, I would sometimes see my dad kneeling in the living room, with his morning prayers, So I have a wonderful heritage, wonderful heritage. This is where we lived on Wallace Street. This is Beulah. This is me when I was little. Yeah.
Your little nugget.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah. 7040 Wallace Street. And this was my grandma Schaffner. We used to have these silly little poems like Johnny over the ocean, Johnny over the sea, Johnny broke a milk bottle, blamed it on to me. I told Ma, Ma told Pa, Johnny got a licking, ha ha ha. Do you ever say things like that? We used to jump rope. We used to jump rope, and we would say, Johnny over the ocean. We used to roller skate around the block,
Yeah.
And we used to play rope and then double dutch.
Yeah, double dutch. I never played that.
And then it talks about the ice box we had in the basement, and the melted water would drip into the pan. It was emptied periodically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And the Iceman would come. The Icemen would come in the alley and they would just call out, ice, ice. And if you wanted it, then you let them know you wanted it. And then they would come and put it in your ice box, which was in the basement, not in your kitchen. Because you see, it had to drain water. Just for fun, I sometimes say I graduated from Yale, which I did. Because that was the name of the elementary school that I attended.
Oh.
These were the kind of desks that we had, and there was an ink well in every desk. And of course, you used the old pens that you would dip in the ink. See, now this is interesting. We had regular fire drills at school, so thought nothing of it one day when the bell sounded. The number of bells indicated which exit was not safe to use, and we had practiced all of them. On one particular day, the teacher marched us down the block as usual when we heard the bells, and then told us to go home. Imagine our surprise when we turned around and saw that the roof of the school was ablaze. Now, here is my favorite church in all the whole wide world. I love Moody Church. Now, there were us three kids at this time. We didn't have a car. We went on the elevator train. So we walked to the elevator station, which was probably 4 or 5 blocks. Okay, winter, summer, rain, snow, anything. Okay. You can see how old the cars were. But the day of the dedication, I believe, the city allowed us to close off the street, and the whole congregation met in the street. This is Clark Street.
Cool.
Okay, and Homer Hammondtree, I remember to this day, he was a great singer in those days. He, after they had an opening ceremony like there. Well, then he sang, "Open the Gates of the Temple." Do you know that song? Oh, open the gates of the temple, and then they open the doors, and we all walk in.
That's beautiful.
That is my church, and I loved it. And believe it or not, it is still going great. In fact, they have built more buildings. Now I'm going to Moody Bible Institute.
Okay.
Okay. Now, finally, I had enough money. See, getting money. We're still in the depression part here. Well, actually, we are also in the war at this point.
Oh.
The Second World War. Oh, now this is really a blessing. 1 month, I was exactly $25 short of the amount needed for board and room. I had no idea where the money would come from. It was the very day the bill was due, and I had prayed that somehow God would bring it in. I went to the Institute Post Office that afternoon and was overwhelmed when I opened an envelope that contained exactly $25 in cash.
Oh my gosh.
It came with a card that read, "The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms." There was no name, and I don't know to this day who sent it. 1 week, Mr. Jensen, who had charge of Children's Church, invited a guest pianist from the Institute to play. His name was Bill Hendricks. That fall, when I became a student and was taking some dishes to the kitchen, I saw him again at the dishwasher. Everybody worked their way through. I didn't say anything, and I don't think he even noticed me. Sometimes I saw him playing for a class or the chapel service. Neither of us remember now when we first spoke to each other. What we do remember is that when Mr. Jensen left and was asked to be, and I was asked to be in charge of Children's Church, Bill became the piano player. A little later, when a pianist was needed in the young people's department, where I was leading singing. See, I was always leading singing, and I was also leading the singing. It was natural to ask him. This became a practical Christian work assignment for both of us. Everybody had a practical Christian work assignment in the hospital or on the street corners or someplace. We walked together each Sunday morning from the school to Moody Church, a mile away. One Sunday morning, Miss Bennett, she was a friend of mine. She was the one that had child evangelism in the city of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she taught a child evangelism class at Moody Institute. And so one day, she was also in the young people's department. I mean, there's a lot of connection here. One Sunday morning, Miss Bennett came to me after Sunday school and said she had been praying about a certain young man in the department. She told me his name. I had no interest in whatsoever. I told her that she was praying about the wrong person. What about the one playing the piano? She forthright said that she would change her prayers. Of course, we were going together by that time, so this was not a presumption. But yeah, so she had this fellow picked out for me.
Oh, that's
and she was praying about it. So I said, hey. We were married at Moody Church by H.A. Ironside on August 14, 1942. Now, our early ministry then opportunities. Now we're going to get busy. Okay. I mean, we had classes, for children. And then we held daily vacation Bible school in Louisiana and Mississippi. Here is one outstanding experience when we were in New Orleans, and we were invited by the Dean of Women at the Black Southern Baptist Seminary. Now remember, there was the black and the white. And when we were down there, there was still the black drinking fountains and the white drinking fountains.
Really?
There were the black washrooms, there were the white washrooms. Wow. Everything was segregated at that time, see. And so you have to know that to realize this. But we were invited by the Dean of Women at the Black Southern Baptist Seminary, say, which was across the river, to come over and speak at their school. The Negroes were called colored in those days instead of black. Blacks were not allowed in the white seminary So they had one of their own across the river. We're in New Orleans now.
Wow.
It proved to be a very interesting meeting, especially the singing. It was different than what you would expect today. I was surprised. He held services every morning, every afternoon, but this is just, oh, and then he was ordained to the ministry. And then we received a call from the First Baptist Church of Tupelo to come on staff, where Bill would be assistant to the pastor, and I would lead the adult choir and the children's music groups half-time. Let's get down to Bill Jr. being born.
Oh, yes.
Bill Jr. was born the night of August 24th. Oh, so then we moved to another town called Fulton, Mississippi, and it was there that I went back to New Orleans to the hospital when Bill was born.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill Jr. was born the night of August 24th, 1946. Then we have to announce about Gloria. Okay, so this is what we sent out to announce. Our little baby sister, we call her Gloria Jean. She came to live with us on Sunday, June 28, 1953, and weighed 6 pounds, 9 ounces. We like her very much. Marilyn and Billy Hendricks. Children always got along well, as far as I know. If not, they kept it from me. Gloria and Bill Jr. would play touch football together. I was always afraid she would get hurt.
Oh.
But she would say, "Don't worry, Mom. He won't hurt me. He knows just how to throw me down." Yeah. And they did. They just loved each other so much. Then we go to Duluth. And that's where we had he was pastor of the church in Duluth. We went to the Emmanuel Baptist Church after we left Duluth. And then he was there for a few years. And then we went to Grace Church Edina, which was in Edina Baptist Church. I haven't felt strong enough, but I want to do that in the next few months. I want to write the end after Bill passed away. I don't have anything written about that. This is from the paper. Let's see. She's counting her blessings. I've got Mom and Dad and Elizabeth and Michael and you and our bunny and the fish and my turtles and my teachers and Becky and Duncan and Graham and Grandpa Patterson and Grandma Miriam and Grandpa Jim and 20, she's counting. She finished her fingers. She has to start counting her toes. 20, 10, 20, 11. Know what, Edgar? Grandma Marion told me to count my blessings, but I don't think I can count them.
Oh.
That's just the way, when I get to the end of my book, that's just the way I feel.
Yeah.
That I can't count all my blessings.